For someone to die by suicide ni kitu ambaye ameketi, akafikiria, akawaza, akawazua, akapiga hesabu, the math was not mathing. So they decided the only way to get out of my problems is to end it all. So that is what suicide is. Taking your own life or somebody taking their own life. Now, what are some of the causes? Why would people want to die? And I know. I don't want to mention about the statistics because we talked about it the first day, that 700,000 people are dying per year out of suicide. Ile ambayo ni jinsi ya kuchukua maisha ya mtu ni 700,000. It could be more because most of the time we are not reporting. Most of the time in our communities, because of the stigma, tukiendea mtu hospitali ama mochari, hatutasema ni suicide. Tunaficha hiyo kwa sababu of the stigma associated with suicide. And today we are here in Rift Valley Institute of Polytechnic to tell us that dying by suicide is not criminal, it is not a taboo, it's a mental illness. And we are here to be able to see how we can prevent dying by suicide. So what are some of the causes? Why would somebody want to die by suicide? We are saying the person who wants to die by suicide, they want to die because wamefikiria wakawazua and they realize they don't have resources to be able to deal with their problems. It's like a coping mechanism to their problems. So when they are trying to cope na wanajaribu hii njia, wanajaribu yote, wanaamua I can't take it anymore. So what is the process? How does it come? The first time we said that stress in affecting our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. So when extreme stress comes in and you get into depression, most of the time suicide is associated with depression. So that when you see someone has gone under, ile withdraw from society, those are some of the signs and symptoms. They withdraw from society, they don't want to associate with friends, amekataliwa, rejection. Rejection is one of those things. They have failed in life. The expectations they had is not what the reality has presented. So you will find such people wanting to die. Sometimes somebody can be having challenges like loss of a loved one. Ile yenye unaamua tunasema aki hapana. Then you just say that I want to end this all. So those are some of the things that would lead someone to want to die by suicide, and even the signs to watch for if you're going to be seeing somebody who is going to be dying by suicide. So kwa hii generation yetu statistics pia inaonyesha ya kwamba suicide risk, wale watu ambao wako suicide, wale ambao wamekufa na suicide, the third leading cause of suicide among this age ya nyinyi wenye mko kwenye university, I think around 12 to 24, that is the third leading cause of death in this age ambayo watu wengi wa Rift Valley mko. So inamaanisha that most of us are dying of suicide maybe because we didn't have someone to talk to or we didn't have somebody to tell our problems. Now so mtafanya nini ndio mweza kusaidia mtu ambaye anataka ku die by suicide, or how do you realize so and so they are not doing very well? Routine change. Angalianga routine ya mtu. Mlikuwa na msee tu vizuri, mnakuwa tu na msee vizuri, mnaria nini vizuri, ni mchangamfu ama ni mpole, kidogo kidogo anaanza kuchangamka, anaanza kuongea, yeye ndio ako kwa club hapo anakunywa, ameanza kukunywa. Those are people that you need to look out for. Ama mtu alikuwa mchangamfu and then in 1 week hajakuwa class, in 2 days hajaoga, ameanza kuchiachilia. Those signs and symptoms ambazo tuliongea sana zinaenda na depression, or they go with mental illnesses, because when somebody gets this mental illness they can have those suicidal thoughts, because some of the mental illnesses zinakuanga na such urges, they have the urges to die. Now some of them ni kama bipolar, kuna some personality disorders ambazo they have that symptom of wanting to die. Then now how do we know that somebody is actually serious, they want to die? Because some of the things to look out ni huyu mtu anaanza kuongea tu I want to die, life has no meaning. Now for us, mimi ukikuja uniambie life has no meaning, ama sioni kama hii life iko na maana, I will take you seriously. Why? Because I would rather prevent you from doing that than nikuachilia alafu uende you do what you wanted to do, maybe you die by suicide, alafu nijiulize niseme na by the way alikuwa ameongelelea. So that is what most of us do. Like mtu anakuja anasema, ama mnamsikia tu na kuongea tu, hii maisha ina maana, mimi wazazi wangu tumekosana nao so much, ama nimeachwa and I feel so bad. most of the time are emotional. The emotions are very strong. So they could keep saying, me, I can't live without this person. Na nyinyi mnaendelea tu kumwangalia mkimwacha. So at that moment ukisikia mtu amesema hivyo, listen with your third ear. Msipuuze. Because we want you to help prevent this person from wanting to die, ndio tumkuje kumpata that day tuweze kumsaidia. So that hata afadhali umreport. In our profession, we are only allowed to break confidentiality if somebody shows those signs, ama akwambie yenyewe mimi nikitoka hapa naenda kujimaliza, ama nikitoka hapa naenda kuua mtu. So in our profession, that is the only place we are allowed to break confidentiality. So you can see how important or how big this thing of trying to help you prevent that suicide is. Why do we break confidentiality? Is because wale watu wengi ambao wamepatikana wakitaka kujiua na wakasaidiwa, they appreciate, wanasema yenyewe mmenisaidia sana, or they had tried to undo the suicide, but because the effect had already been done, kama ni kuingest alikuwa amekunywa kitu imeshaingia, that struggle they would indicate signs of they didn't want to die. What they were calling for is help. So most of the time when people are going to be talking about suicide, they are actually calling out for help. Now there are some who do what we call non-suicidal self-harm. Non-suicidal self-harm ni ile hali ya watu kujikatakata. Unapata mtu amechukua a blunt thing ama even na wembe, amejikatakata mkono, amejikatakata mapaja, wengine wanang'oa nywele, wengine wana prick vidole, they prick the makucha. Now that is called non-suicidal, but what we say is that non-suicidal self-harm can actually kill. Okay, so ukiona mtu ameanza kujikatakata ama ameonyesha signs za self-harm, ile ambayo ni self-harm tu, anataka uchungu itoke, take that seriously. Help them. Waambie tu hata watume hapa kwa health center so that they can be able to get help. So in that way you would have done your part. Because sometimes mtu anaweza enda ajaribu kujikata na apate the wrong place. So it means they are going to die. Na wewe mwenye ulikuwa na yeye ama wewe ni rafiki yake, you're going to be very overwhelmed with emotion. I had a client who died by suicide. We were doing very well, but rafiki yake, beste yake akakufa na suicide. So vile ule rafiki yake alikufa na suicide, that became so heavy on her, she also decided to die. And this was a university student. So what are we talking about? Suicide, huyu mmoja akifariki, it can actually mess the other person who had the thoughts and ideations. Last week peke yake, I think we saw like kulikuwa na a tabulation of how many people had died by suicide, mpaka polisi wakashtuka. Now they are going to be doing uchunguzi waone why are people dying by suicide so much. So we are all wondering, why would people be dying? Na si eti ni place moja, ati ni hapa, ingine ni Kakamega, ingine ni Vihiga, ingine ni Kiambu, ingine ni Mombasa. But most of the time what is coming out, our age, hii age ambayo ni around let us say this donkey years. Kuna kwanga na ile miaka tunaita donkey years. In that can even you guys can come in. The donkey years where we are working very hard, back around 45, 55, people are dying so much at that age. And we are wondering, what is the difference that what is happening now that people are dying so much? Saa ingine unasikia mtu mwingine amekuja, they have the means, ako na gun. That is the means. Na ako na plan, anasema tu bibi yangu amefanya ABCD, anakuja nyumbani, shoot kila mtu, and then they also shoot themselves. So we are asking, what is going on? Now, what is going on is that this person has been in depression. Most of the time, suicide is linked with depression. Amekuwa kwa depression for so long, si tunamwona tu anaendelea na kazi yake. But they just need one provocation. Mtu amprovoke hivi, and then they will lipuka. So that is where you will find somebody coming from wherever they are working, afike nyumbani, attack the whole house. Because at that moment, they need help. They do not need, yani hawahitaji kukashifiwa. They need to be helped. They need someone to talk to. So what can you do? Be there, be a shoulder to lean on for that person who wants to die. And if you want to die, do not take it lightly, because suicide, being a mental illness, runs in families. So that if somebody in your family died by suicide and you start to show ama to talk about suicide, tunazida ideations, unaanza kuwa na hizo thoughts, just know that your risk of dying by suicide are very high than pale ile familia ambayo haina depression na mtu hajafariki from suicide. So that is why you really need to take care of that, because our main work, our main job, especially when we come here, is to prevent those eventualities. is to prevent people from dying, because we need you to come up so that we can be able to help you. So that is our main role when it comes to prevention and just creating awareness on this topic that kila mtu hapa nje anasikia ni tabu. Tukikuwa hapa tuendelee kuwa na wewe, we can be able to help you to prevent you from doing that which you may have done. So hiyo ndio maana ya hiyo ndio some of the things that we do when it comes to suicide, and there is much more that can be done. But some of the highlights that I would want us to take home from this is that suicide is no longer criminal, but then we want to prevent you from taking your own life. So we want to engage you to your friends and friends mostly, wale wenye wako karibu nawe ndio wanaweza kukuprevent so that you don't die by suicide, so that you can get the help that you need. Ukiona mwenzako anataka kufariki by suicide and you don't know how to go about it, report it to somebody else who can be of help. Mkiona mtu amewithdraw sana na amelala kwa hostel sana na hakuji class na hafanyi nini, know that that person is going through so much. Mkiona mtu amepata changamoto too heavy for them to handle, just know that that is a candidate of suicide, so that you can be able to help them, especially as friends and as young people, because we have said people of your age around 12 years to 24 years, that is the third leading cause of death among you guys. But there are 700,000 people dying annually from suicide. Sawa sawa. So I want you to kushika those statistics so that you can be able to be helped. How do we treat, or how do we manage these people that are wanting to die by suicide? Some of the treatment modalities, sana ni counseling, talking to somebody. Suicide is referred to as an emergency. Mimi ukikuja uniambie mtu anataka kufariki, the first thing that we normally do, you are likely to be admitted so that we can be able to stabilize you. So after we stabilize, now we can be able to start talking. Now, depending on the severity, kuna ile ya mild, ni kuongea tu anaongea because hiyo changamoto imemkalia ngumu. So that with psychotherapy kidogo ama counseling, unapata mtu ana get out of those thoughts. Kuna ingine ni moderate na severe. Now, depending on the moderate and severe, kama huyu mtu ako na plan na ako na means, depending on that, the chances of you getting admitted or hospitalized are very high for us to be able to help you and keep you alive for much longer, ndio tuweze kukusaidia. There are some whose suicide is inakuwa ni too much. Anakuwa anafikiria, mnamweka kwa madawa na hapo kwa counseling 6 months, how many, na bado anaendelea na hizo suicidalities. There is normally something doctors call electroconvulsive therapy. Unaekewa some form of stima to be able to see whether you can be able to forget. Let me use the word forget loosely, that kind of suicidal behavior. So those are some of the things that are going to be, we will talk about when it comes to suicide. So I am going to hand this mic to somebody to be able to ask questions, or you can ask questions in aweze kukujibu. Thank you very much.